Whenever I sit down by a riverside, memories of other trips to other riversides tend to meander through my mind, flowing here and there as images of my younger self reveal the long and winding twists and turns of this river of life. And I cannot help but reach out to pat that little girl or young woman that I once was on the head and tell her to relax and go with the flow. I remember, as if it were yesterday, standing by a riverside, holding on to a brand new fishing rod, hoping against hope that I would be able to somehow catch a fish. I had come well prepared and yet not prepared at all for what I was about to encounter. Earlier in the week, my father had presented my brother and I with our first fishing rods. Throughout the week, Dad had instructed us in the fine art of casting our lines. And instead of hooks, Dad had tied little rubber weights to the end of our lines. And over again, we practiced releasing our thumbs from the levers on our reels at just the right moment so as to send the line way out beyond us onto the grass. I could hardly sleep the night before our first fishing trip. I worried that I wouldn't have the courage to impale a wiggling worm on my hook. And I wondered which one of us, me or my younger brother, which one of us would manage to impale ourselves with a barbed hook. I can almost see the little girl that I once was tossing and turning on the top bunk as she hoped against hope that she would catch a fish. But not just any fish. This little girl longed to hook a really big fish, a fish to impress her dad. No one told that little girl that fishing is a waiting game which requires the kind of patience which few children can muster. I can see that little girl staring at a little red float, waiting for movement, determined that at any moment a fish, a really big fish, was going to come along. There were many riverbanks, and lots of fish were landed. Some were big, some were small. All of them were interesting. Not beautiful really, but interesting. Personally, I liked catching the small fish, or at least that's my story and I'm sticking to it. The small fish, you see, we could just release them back into the river to fight another day. So they became my favorites. Eventually, other things captured my attention down by the riverside. Things like dragonflies darting here and there, birds singing, grasses blowing in the breeze. There was so much to discover down by the riverside. Dad was the purveyor of all wisdom, explaining every mystery until that little girl began to tire of life on shore. Eventually, I gave up fishing in favor of just diving into the river. I can see that little girl splashing about in the water, laughing and giggling as I played for hours and hours in the river. I remember once trying to stand still as the river's swift current threatened to topple me over. I wondered where the river might take me if I failed to keep my balance. And just as that little girl is about to topple over, the image of a confident young woman emerges from the depths and rolls over on her back and begins to float upon the water. And I can remember staring up at the clouds, content just to be me on a summer's day so long ago. As the summer's day gives way to evening, I see a less confident image of myself, sitting on a riverbank, staring up as the sun was setting, wondering and wondering, filled with questions about how and why, longing to fish out of the river or the sky the answers to my endless questions. I wonder when I stopped looking to the rivers or to the sky or to the oceans or the mountains and all of the creatures who live upon the earth. When did I stop looking to creation so that I might find the answers to my questions? I can't quite pinpoint the moment when I stopped fishing for answers in creation and began fishing for answers in libraries. One after another, each book caught me rather than me catching them, but still fishing nonetheless for answers. Sometimes the books would give way to the wisdom of teachers, scholars, mentors, and folks whose faith was stronger than mine. Hoping against hope that this one or the next one would provide answers to the mystery which lies at the very heart of reality, I was always questioning. Looking back at this long, meandering journey, I can't help but see that I've been fishing for answers my whole life long. Whether it's fishing or studying, I'm still that little girl longing to capture the really big fish, the one which is the source of all, the one who is mystery. I wish I had tapped myself on the head a long time ago and told myself to relax. There's no need to catch a fish or to follow the trail of some creature. There's no need to harvest knowledge from books or to seek wisdom from wise ones. All that is necessary is to go with the flow. Let the river take you. I remember once a long time ago watching a fish flounder on the shore, desperately trying to stay alive. And when the wind drove the current on shore, the water suddenly took the fish out into the river. The salvation of that fish brought tears to my eyes, as I longed to be able to simply be carried away like that. For the fish lived and had its being in water. Water flowed in and around and through the fish. The answers to the mystery which lies at the very heart of reality are all around us. For as our ancestor Paul wrote some 2,000 years ago, the mystery, the one Paul called God, is the one in whom we live and breathe and move and have our being. So as I pat that little girl or the young woman that I once was on the head, I hope that the person I continue to become will have the faith to go with the flow of this river of life, this mystery in whom we live and move and have our being. And when from time to time the current runs swiftly, I hope that the person I am continuing to become will have the wisdom to remember that the river itself flows in, with, through, and beyond me, and that I find the courage to drink deeply from this living water which is the mystery at the very core of who we are, beloved children of the one who is. The next time you find yourself down by the riverside, splash about a bit. Life in the river is far more exciting and life-giving than any of the answers you might be able to capture. So splash about and play in the one who is our lover, beloved, and love itself, the one in which we live and move and have our being, the one who lives and breathes in, with, through, and beyond us, now and forever. Amen.
We hope that you have found this broadcast to be of value to you at this time. To continue to offer these, we depend on the support of donors. If you wish to help to keep us going, please donate what feels right for you via Canada Helps to Holy Cross Lutheran Church, Newmarket. Peace be with you.